Welcome everybody. We got a guest in person. How you doing, Denny?
Very well, thank you, gentlemen. And yourselves?
Yeah, no, all good, all good. Just had a bit of a bad neck, but shout out to Jigsaw Therapy. Deck Foley has just come from there now. He's just put my neck straight on and feels a lot better now, which is ideal. I can actually move and turn and see both of you rather than like I'm on a stick. But no, all good other than that.
So for everybody that's listening and watching, our guest today is Denny Champ, who is one of ours at Wimborne Rugby Club, and an all-round inspirational guy, which I'm sure we're going to come on to.
I don't know about that, but thank you very much for the introduction.
No problems at all. I think we'll kick off with our usual warm-up, and we'll chat a little bit about rugby. I think team squads come out today. What did you think to that, Jay?
I thought it was good to see. Well, I was disappointed to not see people like Ollie Lawrence in there, to be honest with you, because I think he's been playing really well and probably emotionally as well. It would have been good for him as well. But overall, was really impressed with the squad. As a Northampton fan, I think we're looking quite thin now. I think we've lost our 9, our 10, our 6, a centre and a winger. So I think the rest of the season for us is going to be interesting. But Northampton have got a lot of young players. But no, it was great to see. I mean, how awesome is it to see Dan Cole back in that squad? Like,
Well,
he's been out for such a long time.
We were chatting
And
about
then
this
he's just got
before,
back
and we
in.
had mixed views on it. To be honest with you, he's come back in, and I'm a big fan of his. Don't get me wrong, but at what point do you say you really got to invest in the youth coming through?
It's difficult, isn't it? I think my opinion would be different on it if it wasn't a World Cup year. I'd say, well, he's the best tight head in the Premiership at the moment, so why would you not pick him? But actually, injury wise, and is he going to go all the way to the World Cup in what is it now, 9 months to the World Cup or something like that? Like, is he, or in hindsight, actually, is the time for developing youth next year, and is the time for just picking the best players that are available right now? The time this year for the World Cup, I don't know. You can look at it two ways. I think if I was Steve Borthwick, I'd pick Dan Cole because he is the best tight head in the Premiership at the moment, and you're in a World Cup year, so you want your best players on the pitch, really, don't you? And he knows he's been in a lot of World Cup cycles, hasn't he? I think they have to acknowledge that actually for what's he going to contribute to someone like Bevan Rod and stuff like that, and you know look at Carl Sinclair, look what happened to him at the last World Cup and stuff. How I'd probably say Carl Sinclair's your first choice, isn't he? He'd probably start for England, and then he'd have Dan Cole on the bench to come on and sort of like Jason Llewellyn did in 2003. But
just solidify a couple of things. Or on the flip side, you could start with Dan Cole and have Sinclair coming off the bench. It's a rotational game, though, isn't it? It is a squad game, really.
But Danny, what do you think? We're talking about a World Cup year, so there's a lot of pressure. Do you think it's good to go in with experience, or perhaps not so much experience? What's going to affect you so much, or what's going to pay off? It seems like he's hedged his bets, but
yeah, I think it all depends on what sort of team you are. Really, if you're one of the big guns and you've got guys there that have been there, done that, seen it, and know how to handle the pressures of that experience, then it's not going to work to have a couple of them in there. Someone like Dan Cole, and I'm not around the England squad on a day-to-day basis, so I don't know what he brings to the group away from the pitch. But you could have someone that's contributing massively to the wider group and the well-being of the whole mindset of everyone without actually doing too much on the pitch. There was an NRL grand final a few years ago. Cooper Cronk, he was injured, didn't do anything in the game, just coached basically from a playing point of view, and they won. That's all he did, so someone we talk about Dan Cole, but you might have a couple of other older heads in there that contribute more off the pitch and in the top 2 inches than they do with their legs.
But look at
props don't do a lot anyway, do they? Really?
I wouldn't know I'm a hooker, but trying to be a hooker. But Dan's spot on. You look at like those sort of people they have around the thing. I look back to like the Lions tour. You look at things like that when they brought people in. Someone like James Haskell, like they brought him in when Billy Vinipola got injured, not because of his playing. They, in Warren Gatland's book, he said he was nowhere near. I had the flankers I needed, but what I needed was his character in the squad. I didn't need his playing attributes still because he wasn't anywhere near on my radar. But we picked him for his personality because it's a long tour away from your family. So
Billy Villipolo's not made this cut either.
no, I think he's done. I think this will be his last season at Saracens as well. I think he'll just from, you look at the signing of Willis for Saracens. That's quite a big signing for them, especially with the back row they have. And well, they're not getting rid of Ben Earl, are they? They're not getting rid of Theo McFarlane. So who's going to go? I think it's going to be Billy, isn't it?
I'm glad Ben Earl's made it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'm
It's a
glad
joke
Ben
that he
Earl's
hasn't
made it.
been here for a long
It's
time.
ridiculous, I always think he was a little bit. Maybe they was thinking he's too similar to Sam Simmons because they're both very pacey back rows. But I think there's a space for both of them.
100%. I think the back row you'd have to go at the moment. I think the only person who upsets that is Alex Dombrandt. But I think the best back row England could pick at the moment is probably Laws at 6, Earl at 7, and then probably Simmons at 8. I think that's the best back row that England could pick at the moment. Tom Curry, obviously, we'll see how he does with his injury and stuff. But I'm not. Is it Tom Curry in the squad or
Ben Curry's made it? Who's the one that's played most?
Tom Curry?
Yeah, he's injured.
Yeah,
and the other one's made it.
Yeah, but I mean, again, Ben Curry is very similar to Ben Earl.
Well, I did hear someone say that they thought that Ben Curry hadn't made that much of an appearance because Eddie Jones just didn't like him. But I don't know how. I mean, of course, you got to defer to the boss. The boss is the one that picks it. To see him get, picked is great for all of them. But it does make you wonder how much of a. I mean, we've talked to the likes of Mike Ford.
Yeah.
And very much a case of understanding a player and having a relationship with the player with regards to what you're trying to build as a squad. There's got to be a lot to do with actually. I just don't see you fit in my vision. Maybe.
Yeah. Or do you waste two spaces on fundamentally the same player? They even look alike, don't
exactly.
they? Yeah. They've got the same attributes. They're exactly the same. So if you're looking at it from a wider perspective, do you bring someone in with a bit more pace, someone a bit heavier, heavier ball carrier? I don't know, something a bit different.
Which is why I think what they'll go for. Actually, I think the back row is what they'll go for. I actually think they'll go Laws, Earl, and I think they'll probably go Dombrandt for the exact reason you said, for a bit of weight.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, and then they'll have Sam Simmons come off the bench. But then Audier, I mean, I get he is very good at 6, but I personally think the best second row option we can pick is Itoje and Laws. But
I'd go Itoje and Laws.
Yeah, 100%. And then you could pay Earl, Dombrandt, and Simmons. But they're not going to do that, are they? But then we don't know actually because Borthwick could do something completely different, to be honest with you. So I think we're so used to going, they're obviously going to pick a second row at 6 because that's what they do. But we'll see.
So we put a little thing out on Instagram asking people who they wanted as the New England head coach before obviously Borthwick was picked. And to be honest with you, it seemed quite strong towards Razor Robertson.
Yeah, guys, you listen to anybody that's in the pro sport environment, and there's a reason why he does so much guest, consulting for other sports and stuff like that. That bloke knows how to run a culture. That bloke knows how to run a club, and because he's so good at creating an environment, would he be wasted in an England setup? Because it's not a way around, is it? Is he best suited for? Is most impactful at club? Well, I think that argument went out the window as soon as he did Barbars, because people came out that Barbarians camp, which is such a short thing, and they said all exactly the same thing. And Ronan O'Gara as well, they said how amazing that was. New Zealand were never going to let him go because he is going to be the next All Blacks coach. And, we know that he's gone and had conversations with the RFU and stuff. And because they weren't, well, from the sound of it, they went to Steve Borthwick. Leicester said, "You're having a laugh, aren't you?" No, he's just won us the Prem. And we signed a contract extension. Didn't you know? And the RFU were like, "Oh no, we didn't know you'd signed a contract extension actually." no, that's fine. We'll go for Scotty Robertson. And then New Zealand went, having a laugh, aren't you? He's our next All Blacks coach. You're not having him either. So they signed him immediately, not even to a club or even to New Zealand. They signed him to the NZRFU. So he's contracted to only coach in New Zealand. So then they went, right, Leicester, we'll just go and give them more money. And then obviously when Borthwick went, well, I want Sir Kevin Sinfield to come with me as well. And they were like, so that's a lot of. I mean, Leicester are a very wealthy club right now, aren't they? With the amount of money they've just had from the RFU.
So that's a good thing, Kevin Sinfield.
I think I was more
massively.
excited about Kevin Sinfield coming on board than I was Borthwick. To be honest with you, he's got an incredible ability to just get the best out of people.
100%.
Yeah.
And then you can't underestimate the appointment of Nick Evans as well, because that is a big. You think how loyal he's been to Quins, how many people have gone after him.
It's only on a short-term thing, though, isn't it?
For now, for the first 6 weeks, yeah, because I think again Northampton are going to miss out, and we're going to end up. I think Sam Vesti is probably going to end up going because obviously he's joint DOR at Northampton at the moment. I think long term.
He was Leicester as well, wasn't he?
Sam Vesti was for a bit. Yeah, he was. Yeah. So I think, reading, sort of listening to the rumours you hear, I think in the end, I think the coaching team will be Borthwick at the top, Kevin Sinfield as defence, and Sam Vesti as attack, and they'll probably just keep Richard Cockrell in there for the laughs. And that's pretty much an all Leicester coaching team, isn't it?
Yeah. I hope it doesn't go down the way of it's not just Leicester, but anytime you get one team,
Yeah,
like the whole coaching team comes from the same sort of stock, that they play the way that Leicester played, or they play the way that Bath played, they play the way that Saracen played. It doesn't matter, bring something different, bring a mixture of stuff in there. That's why I like the idea of having a Southern Hemisphere or different European coach or something like that, to bring new things, to bring more to it.
I think the massive news that's dropped today is Eddie Jones.
Yeah.
Australia head coach.
Again, we were chatting about this while we were waiting for you to turn up, Jay.
Whoops.
Because we were all on time. 5 years contract, just done. It's like, come on, come back. We were discussing, and I'd heard people say from the Australia side that Eddie Jones had spent too long at England, and he'd done the same before, and that he does all his good work in short stints.
Yeah.
And Australia are giving him a 5-year contract. Granted, like you said, he's taken over the women's team as well. It seems
the Wallaroos.
But yeah, is 5 years too long for an Eddie Jones, or is it just the right length of time?
Well, there's no way that deal's come out of nowhere, is there? I think he was lined up to go to Australia as soon as he finished England. 5 years is a weird time to have a contract, because that's a World Cup cycle and then a year. That's a weird time.
It's basically right. You can have a free shot at this World Cup.
Yeah.
And then you get a Lions tour, because he gets a Lions tour.
Yeah, he does.
Well.
Yeah.
And then you can have to build up to the next World Cup.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think we should never have ever gone down the route of that contract extension. But then you look at it, Steve Borthwick, they have always wanted Steve Borthwick, haven't they? Ever since Eddie Jones has gone, he's your man to take over from me when he first came in and did that stuff. And he is a very good RFU man. And you think the RFU have been burnt for so long, because first time they didn't go, Stuart Lancaster was a very RFU man. And then the first time they went for something completely different, it's burnt them in the press. It's burnt them. Yes, got them to a World Cup final and, lost it and in 2019, but then they have also equaled the run for the most wins in a row. That's not, and that was under Eddie Jones and that. And, you look at his.
That was from the very outset.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he didn't lose a game leading on from there.
Yeah.
For those 18 games.
Well, this goes back to what you're saying. Is he good in short stints? And then you'll have other people. As we've said before, I'm pro Eddie Jones. I actually like his coaching style. I've seen the stuff he's done, the stuff in his community. I've listened to his coaching podcast. I've read his book. I like him, and so just get that out of the way straight away. But what people will always say, in contradiction to when I give the argument, well, they went on the unbeaten run, didn't they? They equaled that. That's some achievement under Eddie Jones. They go, oh well, that was just off the bed that Stuart Lancaster laid.
Of the worst World Cup that England have had, or or the first
Yeah,
host nation to go out in.
in the pool stages, yeah,
What,
and still are the only one.
Yeah. Well, you know, going back to Australia, like you said, Denny, he's kind of got a free shot at this World Cup.
Yeah, it wasn't
Do you-
9 months, you said, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Nine
9
months.
Do you think you wouldn't expect anything from New Zealand, from Australia this World Cup? Do you think it's going to be just a stab in the dark and see how they go, or are they formidable enough to go?
don't
If
know.
you give them a free rein, they might actually achieve.
Australia always turn up, don't they?
Yeah,
They
do.
always turn up when it matters. But in the same note, I can't see Australia getting anywhere near the winning this time.
No.
I think you're looking at. Well, I think the first game is France, New Zealand, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I think that'll be the final.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's not me going against England or anything like that. I just think if it was to be played tomorrow, I think them two teams, because New Zealand, aren't they? I think France are so far above everybody else. I think Ireland.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to
I
see
think
what
Ireland depends so much on Johnny Sexton.
Mm.
Hopefully they can get out of that a little bit, so they turn up a little bit. But are they peaking too early?
Well, this is the thing that I think a big thing for Ireland is, can they ever get past the quarters? You know, they never do well at World Cups, do they? They just, it doesn't matter how good they do. Like you say, do they always peak too early? Do they get it wrong? And I think Jonathan Sexton being injured at the moment is a good thing for Ireland. I think because it gives them a chance to look at another option at 10. Because at the moment it's like do or die on him, and you're spot on.
But
What do they do without him?
who have they got?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it?
Who have they got? He's been top of the game for so long that everyone's like, well, do I want to play 10? I might as well go and play 12 because I ain't going to get in at 10.
Yeah, 100%.
Might as well put on 4 stone and go and play in the back row.
You reckon there's a vacuum there?
Well, possibly.
I think saying about England taking on Eddie Jones and having a free run at this first World Cup, I think England must be in the same camp in that we've got Borthwick coming and we got a World Cup in no time. We got Six Nations about to kick off, and is there enough time for him really to make that difference in one Six Nations and then straight into a World Cup?
I think there's no excuse, really, is there? You look at the sort of Premiership and what he's got, and that squad he's picked. I'm pretty sure we could rock up and coach them and still get some decent performance out of them because of how good they are. I think a lot of, to be honest with you, I think a lot of this stuff, and I know because of how perhaps it bleeds in from football culture and stuff, but we pin so much on the coaches, so much on the coaches, but actually a lot of it has to be down to the players, and it has to be recognised as, are they putting the best into it? Are they getting the most out of it? Because at the end of the day, the coaches, yes, they pick the team and will always hold them accountable for that and pick the squad. But that squad he's picked, you could pick a very good 23 from that, a very good 23 that should deliver on paper, no matter who the coach is. So I think it needs to be, if it does go wrong at the Six Nations, which it very well could, we need to not blame it on him, blame it on the players, because that is an incredibly good squad. And like you said, there's nowhere near enough time to change everything that he wants.
Yeah, I was reading the other day that ordinarily you're only allowed to change 5 players out of the elite squad. Each time you pick a squad, you can only change 5 from the time before. I think he was given special dispensation to change more than 5, and I don't know what the numbers were, so I'm just speculating. But if we sat down and analysed it, it'd probably be more than 5. I would have thought, because it was given a bit of special. But why not? It's his new squad. Let him change all of them if he wants.
Yeah.
They're not gonna. You're not gonna pick a completely new 50 or 37 or whatever it is, because they're fundamentally they're in the best that window of the best players in the country.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Well, I think warm up enough. I think we kick on with our first half.
Super warm.
Yeah, it is in here actually. I'll put a hoodie on. I'm regretting that one. So welcome, Denny. Den Champ. A little introduction to everybody that doesn't know him. Ex-elite Royal Marines, toured in Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. Around the Middle East, worked in close protection, personal trainer. Founder of the Start Your Day on Purpose movement, which I'm a big fan of. Wimborne RFC first team, ex first team as
Yeah,
well.
about 1,000 years and 4 knees ago, or
Yeah.
whatever it was. Yeah.
And sitting there like a specimen. And seeing as actually we're really kicking off in the States, sporting a Miami Dolphins t-shirt, which is going to go down well as well, I think.
Yeah.
My
The
second team,
Dolphins,
if I had to, if it wasn't for rugby, I think I'd be American football and Miami Dolphins all the way.
Yeah,
But
I like it. I like it. I can appreciate it. Everyone says, "Oh, it's two stop start." But when you get more into it, you can appreciate it. You know, these guys are big guys, and they are proper athletes.
Mm.
You know, 40 yards in just over 4 seconds from a standing start.
Yeah,
that's quick, and they're big guys as well.
I went up to I went to Bristol Stroud College just to see some of the stuff they did. And they've just had a £1 million NFL football pitch put in, and like they've got an NFL academy there, and they feed directly into like colleges at in America and stuff. And he said that a lot of them, the people they have, are failed rugby players that get rejected out of Bristol Academy and failed athletic champion people that are trying to athletic athletes that do athletics that are trying to get into that, like are sprinters or good throwers or stuff like that. It's just they do take some absolute specimens, don't they?
The squads are enormous, the money's enormous, and yeah, there's a great opportunity for anybody to go that's got some, like you say, some serious pace, some ability to want to just go and make the hits as well. It's an impressive sport. But we're a rugby podcast, although we do love our American cousins. So Denny, thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just want to get a bit of a background on yourself.
Yeah.
When did you get into rugby?
So I started watching rugby because I grew up in Essex, and there's more rugby there now, but there never used to be when I was a kid. It was all football, and I used to watch rugby with a Welsh bloke, Bruce Patterson, and he used to play for Maesteg. He was bear of man, but I used to sit with him and watch the Five Nations as it was then.
Yeah.
And the rugby on like a Saturday afternoon in the pub. And then when I joined the Marines, I got the opportunity to play a little bit of rugby. So I just turned up, and luckily enough, there's a couple of lads, Mini Me, who was the Scottish under-23 scrum half in his time, and Lenny Vutaki, who's dead now, big, massive Fijian back row. And Mini was so good that when I was playing, he'd say, "Right, then he's coming through now, just hit him." And Lenny had shown me how to hit someone, so I just hit him the way Lenny showed me to do it, and I looked brilliant because Mini was coaching me on the pitch. So that was a bit of a bonus. And
so coaching from international players.
Well, no, I suppose so. Yeah. I was playing with him because it was for inter-unit stuff. Yeah, and we had a decent team, and I went down to the Navy Sevens, and we won the Sevens, and Akatiri Tens. The team won that. Not my team. The other Marines team won that. So yeah, we did quite well. And then I started playing rugby league because rugby league is like the perfect Royal Marine sport because you just fit and you don't mind running into each other. You know, so I made the Royal Marines representative team for rugby league.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and every year you play the Trafalgar Cup against the paratroopers.
Oh, wow.
So Marines against the paras every year. And 2011 made that team, and we did a 10-day training camp with the Leeds Rhinos.
Oh, wow.
So because Brian McDermott was a Royal Marine. So yeah, he took us. Jimmy Lowe's took us. We did strength and conditioning with James. I can't remember his name, but face to face with Jamie Peacock in the corridor. That man is enormous. Enormous. You look at, I'm here. You're like, whoa. But the speed that they do everything with is just phenomenal. You know, for everyone listening, you know, if you haven't seen rugby players training and playing up close, you can't grasp how quickly they do everything and how quickly they move. It's phenomenal. But and I loved rugby league. I loved it. And obviously when I started playing, I moved down here, came to Wimborne, and lucky enough to play 7 years here.
Did you move down here with the Marines?
Yeah, 2006 I moved down here. So I started playing then.
And whereabouts were you with the Marines in Poole?
Hamworthy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, drafted out at Hamworthy.
Was that special boat service?
No, it was attached to him. It was
Okay.
attached to him. But yeah, it was good. It was good. I went away with them a few times, played rugby for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, played some good games. Had a couple of games against the officers. Boot match. That's a game. That's a game. Good memories. Good memories thinking about it. Yeah, I was lucky. Lucky I played some good. I could play some good standard when really I was quite young in the development of the rugby game.
So how old were you then when you started at the Marines?
What, when I went into the Marines?
Yeah.
22. So I was a little bit older than some, but I think that did me a favour really.
Yeah.
But I only ever wanted to be a fireman. When I was a kid, that's all I wanted to be, was a fireman. And I went on the building sites. I left home and left school at 16. Excuse me. Went on the building sites. Bit as a gypsy's dog when I was running around there. And I wanted to be a fireman, but they weren't recruiting at the time. Essex and London fire brigades weren't recruiting. So I thought, right, I'll join the military for 6 months in my naivety. Oh yeah, 6 months and then it'll be all right. I'll go and join the fire brigade. What's the hardest thing I can do? So it looks good. And then the old advert comes on, 99.99% need not apply. Right, I'll do that. And that's the only reason I joined the Marines.
Just because you wanted to be that?
Just because I wanted it to look good on the CV for the fire brigade. And I thought, wow, that's it. Got to do it now. Because so many people tell me, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah, I can. And I will. And I did.
And how long were you in?
10 years. Did 10 years in the end, yeah. Yeah, I did 10 years. Came out 2012, I left.
And that was tough.
What, to come out?
No, was it because you said you wanted to do something that looked good, but you said the advert was 99.99 need not apply.
9%, yeah, because that's an actual statistic. At that time when it came out of the 1,000 people that went to the recruiting office, only one of them got a green beret. And they all fall off for various reasons, you know. Some people might fail the medical before you even get in. Some people might fail the academic tests. Some people might fail the background tests. There's a myriad of reasons why people don't even make it down there. But out of the 56 of us that went down, I think 7 or 8 of us passed out.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, you and I had a chat a while ago, and you told me about your assessment, your having to do your obstacle course.
Oh, the tests.
At the end, yeah. And you said you had an extra special tough issue.
Well, roughly about sort of week 12, 13, I felt a pain in my groin that I just thought was a bit of a groin strain. So you carry on because the fear of having to get back trooped or dropping out. And got through to week 26, and you go on the first commando test, which is the endurance course. So you walk out the 4 miles, do a 2-mile assault course, and run back. And you've got to do it in 72 minutes, and then shoot 6 out of 10 at a target. And on the way out there, loads of tree roots and everything like that. I just stumbled and put my foot down, and I felt a sharp pain in my right groin this time. And it was pretty bad. So running around, did the assault course, got through. On the way back to run back, there was a Royal Marines Major Tinsley. And he said, "You will make this if you stay with me." And I stayed with him, and I made it by 9 seconds.
Wow.
Did the shoot, went down to get the targets, and I just couldn't walk. Steve Curley, bless his heart, he's dead now. He had to piggyback me back to the accommodation because I couldn't walk. And I ended up having scans and everything, and I fractured my hip.
Oh shit.
On the way out there, yeah. Yeah.
That's mental.
Yeah, but they did all the x-rays, and it worked out that I'd fractured the other hip in week 12 as well. So I was the only person at the time who had a bilateral stress fracture neck of femur and pass out.
Yeah, wow. Jesus.
Well, put me back a year. I needed operation. I had a residual plate and screw, so they put a big plate on my thigh and screwed into my into the neck of the femur, the ball and socket joint, but then it was easier than the second time.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. No, it weren't easy. But yeah, so yeah, we got through that, and there'll probably be a bit of arthritis in there and something later on in life, but it's all right at the minute. My knees hurt more now.
So during your time, did you play rugby when you first joined the Marines, or was that something that you had to qualify to get into the Marines?
No. So through training, you don't play it through training or anything like that. But as soon as I went up to 4 or 5 in Scotland, we was just throwing a ball about, me and my mate, and Gaz said, "Oh, mate, we're doing trials in a couple of days. You come along." Yeah, I was. Went along, did as I was told, turned up, listened to Minnie and Lenny, and did all right. Made the team. But yeah, I think if you're interested in something, you pick it up so much quicker than you. And if you put the effort in, I think if you put the effort into anything long enough, you get good at it. I don't care what it is. I don't care who you are. You do something enough, you'll get good at it.
I agree with that one.
Massively. Who do we have on that was talking about the amount of hours it takes? Was it Baz or James? We were talking about how many hours it takes to perfect a skill.
10,000 hours.
Yeah, something like that.
To qualify as a master is 10,000 hours. Yeah,
Really?
of active practice. Which I think did work it out once. It's something like 10 years at 3 hours a day or something like that.
Wow.
Something like that.
And that was the first time you played rugby then when
Yeah.
you went into the Marines?
Yeah.
And you just fell in love with it?
Loved it. I loved it before I started playing it. But then when I started playing it, it was good. Really, really good. Because, obviously you were fit anyway. So you didn't have to worry about the fitness side of things. You just concentrate on what you're being told and the skill aspect of it.
Yeah.
Not that I ever had any skill, but I was fit enough and aggressive enough to get me around them problems.
And was it mainly within the forces you were playing? Because I know years ago when I was at Grove, we played, one of the guys at Grove was part of, I think it was RAF Benson. And we ended up playing friendly pre-season against the RAF.
Well, I joined Arbroath.
Okay.
I joined Arbroath rugby team, which was all bootlegs anyway, with a scattering of the locals. But we used to have the clubhouse was shared with the cricket team, and the two brothers that run the cricket, they'd take it in turns. One of them would be the president, one would be the chairman, and then they'd swap every year. Complete monopoly on it all. But they were born in England. I can't remember where they were born, but obviously grown up in Scotland, thick Scottish accent, but they were born in England. So, and I just got on well with them. So I was always the last to leave with them two, drunk as a skunk usually. And yeah, they took me under their wing, and it's good. I liked Arbroath. Bit grey, but yeah, it's nice. Good. It was a good little club. I think I looked them up the other day. Caledonian Midlands 4 or something.
Sounds impressive.
Yeah, it's not.
So you moved down to Poole.
Yep.
And you found Wimborne.
Yep. Yeah, I wanted to carry on playing rugby, so I literally Googled it, and Wimborne came up, and I liked the kit. That's why I came here. That's why I came here.
Oh, brilliant.
So could have been anyone if I had a better kit.
Testament to the kit then.
There you go.
What year was that?
Or whatever it was.
Was that what it is?
I don't know. Was it 5 per 10 then? I don't know. It might be on the wall if it was 5 per 10.
Max, do you remember what kit it was back then? What year were we talking?
2006. It was the big heavy black ones. Yeah, it was the big heavy black one. But yeah, all black, and because of the All Blacks.
Yeah.
There you go. That'll do.
Good work.
There you do. We'll go there.
Well, you certainly made a mark when you landed anyway.
Yeah. Den size dent.
That's it. A lot of stories I don't think we will delve into too much.
No, I don't know how PG this needs to be. We can't tell too many.
So you were here then for the rugby, straight into the first team? Because you'd been playing with Marines, or
I think I played 3 or 4 games for the seconds. First game was against Puddletown.
Yeah.
First game was against Puddletown. And Dave Huggins came over and watched it, and he liked it. He liked what I did, and after a few games, I can't remember. I think it was Hooper Avon Tiles or someone like that. It was a double header, and we played them on the Sunday in the cup. So we played on the Saturday, and then we had to play in the cup on the Sunday. So I went up on the bench, and then from there I stayed in the first team. Then lack of numbers, I think.
Funnily enough, I was speaking to some of the guys just to get a bit of a heads up for this podcast. How was Denny when he was playing, when you played with him, blah, blah, blah. And I was speaking to Lee Coolin.
Yeah.
And he said, to be honest with you, you went in a flanker, is that right?
Yeah. It was me and Lee.
Blindside?
Yeah, I was blindside. Lee was open side.
And I think Lee's words were, you just told Denny where to go and what to do, and he just went and did it.
And that's it. That was me. But I was lucky. I had Lee and Charlie Morgan. And I think Charlie went through the age grades with Bath. And obviously Lee was brilliant.
Yeah.
He was a brilliant player. He's got such a good rugby brain, Lee. And then Jason as well. Who else was in the team? Oh, King and Miko. A few young lads, a few good players. Russ Tinsdale, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason comes down on a Wednesday and chucks the ball around with the fat dads. And a bit of touch on a Wednesday night. I had the pleasure of playing with Lee at Litchit a few months ago for the thirds. He just happened to have his kit in the back of his van.
It's always Andy.
And he jumped on. But yeah,
he's a good player. Good player, Lee was. Aggressive, really aggressive, but hard, but a good player. And I think the game's, it's a different game now than when we used to play. But you could go in and there was no such thing as a higher tackle then. And Lee's coming in behind you to mop up if you get walloped.
Rucking was rucking back then.
Yeah, there was a ref. Oh, I expect you to ruck ferociously. He used to say ruck ferociously all the time. I can't remember his name. Lee will tell you his name.
So when you come out of the Marines, that's when you came down to Poole. You were at Poole for a while.
Yep.
When you came out of the Marines, where did your career path go?
So when I came out, you give a year's notice when you leave. So all of your transition and resettlement is done before you leave.
Yeah.
So you can pretty much go straight into it. And I had a lot of leave built up. So I was supposed to leave in the June. Straight after Christmas, went to Norway, came back mid-February. I had a couple of days just handing my kit back, doing my leaving routine, and that was me. I was done then because I had all the leave built up. So I could do all my network and everything before I actually came out. And Baz Campbell, he had a mate Brods who was doing CP up in London, close protection, and he knew that's what I was going to go into. So he said, "Oh, go and see Brods, have a chat with him." So I went and met Brods, and we got absolutely smashed together, like annihilated. 1,500 points of Guinness that afternoon. And 2 weeks later, he rings me up. He says, "Look, then, because he looked after the son of the guy who owned the Indian Premier League cricket in London. Mega money. So, but he had a very good reputation, so everyone was ringing him up all the time. And he said, "I've had a phone call to look after the Princess of Dubai." All right, no worries. And I said, I've told him I've known you for ages and you're brilliant. So go along. So I went along, and there was 5 of us turned up. And we're all sort of getting in the car, going out doing the recce's, everything like that. We get us back. And the area manager, so to speak, is waiting there. He goes, "Right, she doesn't want 5 guys. She wants 1 guy, 1 woman. The woman's coming tonight." I can't remember the bloke's name, but he was down to drive the car the first day. So his name was on the manifest to drive onto Pan at the airport to pick her up. So like, "You're staying, everybody else, thanks for coming, but you go home." I weren't that bothered. Easy come, easy go. I just got in the car and drove back. A few days later, the guy rings me up and he says, this is the guy who's driving the car who got stayed on. He goes, "I got my clearance through to go to Iraq on the private security in Iraq. I've told him you're the best guy at the rest of them. So they want you to come back. They're going to ring you up tomorrow. So I went back and I did 3 months with her through the summer Olympics, 2012 Olympics. So it's just polo and lunch and watching Olympics and stuff like that. It was brilliant. And then from there, you got that on your CV. It's really good then, isn't it? So I got invited to go and interview for Mohammed Al Fayed's team. So I went there, got that, stayed there for just over a year. And that's when he started slowing down, not doing too much. So I said to the Will, the security manager, I said, look, mate, the way the job's going for me now would be nice at the end of my career, because I'm not doing much.
Yeah.
But it's not for my beginning of my career, so I'm going to leave. And I did, on good terms, because you don't burn your bridges unless you're a really good swimmer. And I went and worked at the Olympic Village when it was transitioning from the village to housing.
Oh, yes.
So I worked for a security stroke logistics company. And then I got asked to go back to Mohammed Al Fayed's team to look after his son, which I did. And then his son and his wife had a baby. So I moved on to the baby as well. And yeah, it was a really, really good job. And I was there for another 4 or 5 years, I think, with them. And then I left there and went to work for a Qatari lady for a year and a bit.
Still in England?
Yeah, in London. In London, yep. It was just her and her 2 twin sons. And in the end, I started becoming a bit disillusioned with it all. You know, he was doing 19, 20-hour days. And I said to her, look, no, I'm tired here. I'm out till, 2 o'clock in the morning with you. And then I'm up at 6 to get over to do the school run with the boys. It's getting a bit much, you know. Yeah, but then I don't trust anybody but you. Well, that's cool, but I need help. And I always think in that environment that if you haven't got the moral courage to stick up for yourself and say to you, you're not happy, how have you got the courage to potentially put your life on the line for these people? You know, you roll over and show your belly to them, you're going to roll over and show your belly to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's what I think anyway. So I ended up leaving. Again, didn't burn my bridges. She still messages me now, all these years later. And I came back and I said, right, I'm going to do anything until the right opportunity comes. And I thought the right opportunity might be a security manager on an estate in the New Forest or something that I could commute to, you know. So I went tiling just in the interim and started a tiling company, took a couple of guys on, did quite well. And then my best mate, Steve, he's a plumber by trade. So we just started doing bits together and then expanded to doing full builds, and it's gone from there really. So I'm a builder now.
Good work.
Not that I know anything about building, but
Steve.
Steve does. So I just ask him. And that's where we are now, yeah.
So talk to us, because those that do or are already linked up with you on Instagram, and for those that don't, it's Den Champ.
Yeah, just Den Champ. Plain and simple.
At Den Champ or whatever it is. Yeah, Den Champ. You spend most of your time in the shower singing.
Yeah, we do a bit of shower singing. We do a bit of
all the rest.
Yeah.
But talk to us about your mindset behind the Start Your Day on Purpose and why and where it's come from.
Well, I was in the bath. One day, and for me, because it was such a big part of my life to get up early in the morning and do fizz. When you're in the military, first thing in the morning, just do fizz. When you're in the CP, first thing in the morning, do fizz, because the only time you can guarantee they're not going to be up. Because if you're a billionaire, you ain't got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You never do. So they're up at like 9, 10 or whatever it is. You can get up early to do your fizz, get it done. It's the only time you get a chance to do it. And I always think that if you do fizz first thing in the morning, before you're tired, before you're stressed, before anything else, you can put 100% into that fizz. Now,
Mm.
if you like doing fizz, but anything you like doing, you want to put 100% into, didn't you? If you do it first thing in the morning, then you can guarantee you can put 100% into that. And that's the way I see it. And I thought to myself, all these people that, you know, they work, they live on their own, and then they get up in the morning, they go and do some PE in the morning, then they go to work. All their friends are at work in the office. Then after work, they might go a couple of beers, some dinner in a restaurant or something with their friends, and then they go home to the cat or the dog or whatever, get their head down, do it all again the next day.
Mm.
Now, that lockdown took that all away from them, didn't it?
Yeah.
And they had nothing. So what I wanted to do was, I don't know if it's inspire, motivate, whatever the word is, tickle someone's elbow just to get up and do something. You know, if they go out 10 minutes, a little run around the block, get in the garden, do something to stop yourself becoming a prisoner in your own four walls.
Mm.
So that's how that all started. And my brother's mate, who's a psychologist over in Essex Tanner, he saw it and he rings me up and he says, "Look, then let's get this going and sort of make this a movement."
Mm.
So yeah, let's do that. You do the
That's
work,
awesome.
I'll be the face. And that's where that came from. Yeah.
No, I love that. And I've been following you for a while on that,
Yeah.
the same vein, because I remember talking to you early days about when I was running through the Be More Rugby ideas, and the whole idea of, and this is something that both Jay and I talk about regularly on the pod, is having a reason to go and do something, having a goal to achieve. All these rugby players that go out, they don't just rock up on a weekend and play a game. They're working towards it, and they're getting up every day, and they're putting the effort in every day, and having that reason to get up and go and do something keeps people alive.
Mm.
100% believe. If you don't have a purpose to get up in the morning, then you're just going to rot and die.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I really do love your start your day on purpose movement.
Yeah.
Want to see more of it too.
Yes. And I started off saying, right, build a habit. It takes 28 days to build a habit and 66 days to become automatic. So I say, right, get up moving. Then tomorrow, move a little bit more. The next day, get in the car and go to the gym. Go for a swim, go for a walk. Doesn't matter. No one cares. Nobody gives a shit what you do because it's for you. No, I don't care if you run 10 miles or 50 miles. I care that you're doing something. I care that you're happy. I care that you're all right. But it doesn't matter how you're all right. And I think we can't judge ourselves by the same standards to everybody else, you know?
Mm.
If you might be a marathon runner, I might be able to run 400 meters, but we're both putting that same effort in, both getting the same out of it. You know, can't measure ourselves with somebody else's ruler, can we, Jay?
Mm. True story. True story.
We've been doing at the academy. We've been doing a bit of player profile just to help the lads develop, etc. And the profile we're looking at individual elements in the profile. Say, for example, it might be passing.
Yep.
And that passing's 1 to 4. But we say to the lads when we've given them their feedback, don't be comparing this to the next guy.
Yeah.
Because you might only be a 1 on your passing and he might be a 3.
Yeah.
But it might be that you're marked because you've got 3 times more potential than the other guy. So why would they mark you as a 4 because you're better and then you've got no potential? You've got to give them that ability to go on. But it's all about them and their standards and what they can achieve rather than where am I compared to everyone else.
Yeah, especially in the kids' age groups, you know, when you're 16, 17, 18, you look at your mate, you know, is he faster than me? No, I can take him. Can he throw the ball further than me? No, I can do that. But I think healthy competition like that's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I don't like the idea of not having competitive sport in schools.
Is it? a lot of accountability when you're in a team as well?
Yeah,
And when you're going out on the weekend, we talk about Jay, tells the lad, tries to motivate him, the lads, and say, you got to help each other. You got to get everybody down to training. You got to, whatever. But there's a lot to be said, like you say, for healthy competition, but also putting yourself out there and saying, I want to be a part of the team, and then having to step up for everyone else, not just yourself.
yeah. Well, from the competition point of view, I think that's good because you push each other. You push each other in training, and in the military, you train hard, and then you test easy. And if you're training hard through the week, individually and as a team, then when you're coming together as a team, you only got half a job to do, isn't you?
Yeah, no, you're right.
On the weekend, and that you just got to concentrate on the team bit, because that individual stuff, you've pushed each other individually, so that becomes automatic. And then all of a sudden, right, I've got to bust my ass to get over there for Jay because he's gone on his own. He's taken that crash ball individually. He's got no support. I need to get there. You need to get to the breakdown. So yeah, I think there's a lot of accountability, especially in rugby, because there's so many different aspects to it, isn't there?
Do you think that's why rugby is such a big sport within the military? Why they play their games at Twickenham at the end of seasons and that sort of stuff? Do you think it's because there's that ability to build teams, camaraderie, and all the rest?
Yeah, and it's a competition within a team as well. The Army Navy, everyone's in the same British forces. You'll have Army guys sitting next to Navy guys, and so everyone's drinking together at the end. I've never actually been. I'm going this year, but I've never actually been to the Army Navy game. It always fell the day after the presentation here, the players' dinner here. So I was never in a fit state to go.
No, I've been. I went once and don't remember much of it. I think it was the double. It was the most recent one actually. It was the one that Sam Matavesi from Northampton played in for the Navy, and he was brilliant. And I think the Army just won it in the end. I really thought the Navy were going to come back and do it, and then it was like the Army versus the Navy women's afterwards, and the Army spanked them like hard. And I don't remember any of that game at all. I was absolutely bollocks.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
just gone.
Well, I couldn't believe how many people don't come into the stadium. How many people are just out there in coaches getting absolutely bladdered?
George Wilkins, he was in the Marines for 25 years.
Yeah.
18 years he went, didn't make it in once.
Yeah.
Didn't make it in once. But they've changed it now, haven't they? That you can't drink out in the car park, I don't think.
Oh, really?
I think they've changed it, yeah. So everyone goes in now. But yeah, there's so many people who've never even gone into the stadium.
Honestly, I couldn't believe it. That's good. And they sell more beer at the Army Navy game than they do the whole of the 4 November internationals. True story.
I can imagine.
Can you imagine a rugby game like that being played out in Saudi Arabia, like the World Cup, the Footy World Cup, when they just said no beer in the stadiums and all that sort of stuff? Do you remember?
No one would bother going, would they?
No.
What's the point?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
My old physio years ago, up in Wantage, she said to me the one day, blah blah blah. Our friends of mine invited me to a game of rugby, and I've never been to rugby before. So like, hey, you'll love it. It's great sport. And I said, what are you going to watch? She went, the Army Navy down at Twickenham. It's just like, you'll love it. I saw her a few weeks later, and she was just absolutely out and out a fan. Like
That's
from
it.
one game, the Army Navy game,
Yeah.
she was just, that was it. Now rugby's almost, she's got, she goes all over the world watching it. She's got, just mad on it. But
it's a brilliant sport because both teams, both sets of sports can sit next to each other and they can appreciate. They can have a chat and they can have a bit of banter without flares getting thrown or people getting kicked or tables and chairs being thrown at each other. I just can't get my head around that.
See that video the other day of that flare that got chucked onto the pitch and then the goalkeeper threw it back into the crowd and the crowd rushed to the pitch and tried to beat up the goalkeeper. Just like, what the hell? In Australia, I think it was. I was just like, what the hell?
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely mental. I was like, unbelievable scenes.
I kind of maintain, and I've always maintained this, that all the frustration in the stadium at a rugby game is taken out on the pitch because it's so physical.
Yeah.
But in a game of football, there's so much frustration because they're not allowed to touch each other. They've gone down soft, and there's, and it just seems like there's added frustration, which I kind of think is, is that why it spills into the crowd? Is that why the crowd just gets so agitated?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mixing pot with some, and I don't like football, but I can appreciate the skill levels that it takes to kick a ball that far and land it on someone's chest or someone's foot. But for some people, it's an absolute religion, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an absolute religion. It's their be all and end all of their week. And if that's what they watch to get themselves through the week, because life is hard, isn't it, Jen? Say life is hard, especially nowadays. So it's got even harder. But life's hard. If you get that little bit of escapism, whether it be through football, through rugby, whatever, brilliant. But it's escapism. Don't let it pile stress onto your already stressful life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Use it as something to enjoy. Enjoy the football, enjoy the rugby, like you would taking the dog for a walk or taking the kids to the park. That's enjoyable things. Life's hard enough. Hard enough. 10 hours a day, innit? Don't waste the other ones that you're awake worrying about fucking football. Excuse me, worrying about football.
Don't worry about it.
I
think.
Go on.
Go on.
No, so spot on. I think before the lockdown, if Northampton or if England lost at the weekend, it would affect my mood, and it generally would. And it was after the Lions tour, the most recent Lions tour, when they lost the Lions tour, and I was supposed to be going out with like all my mates and stuff like that. I went home. I was genuinely so pissed off and upset that they'd lost that it affected my mood. And then I spoke to Beth about it, and Beth was like, like they don't know that you're upset, those people that you're watching. Like, it's great you care about it, and it's not saying you shouldn't care about things and stuff like that, but like you said, that was something I was supposed to enjoy, and it was stressing me out. It was stressing me out, and it was like affecting me. I don't have that anymore at all.
That's cool.
Still trying to work on if I'm playing and I lose.
Well,
we're trying to work on that, but
that's not the worst thing. But remember why you play.
Exactly. Yeah.
You play this game because you love the game. You don't play the game because you love winning.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd fight kids, wouldn't you? If you had to win all the time, you'd just pick a fight on a 5-year-old every single time.
Yeah,
100%.
If you and book up there, by the way, if anybody wants to buy it. I've said in there before, if you don't love the process, because if you love doing what you're doing, you're going to want to go and doing it again.
Yeah.
It's not about the winning, because if you want to win, once you win, that's it. But if you love the process, you love the training, you love the game, you love whatever, every rugby player out there, as soon as the game finishes, they might be gutted because they've lost. They might be elated because they won. But all I want to do is play again. All I want to do is have
a couple of beers first.
Have a couple of beers
then,
first.
then
Yeah.
play again.
Then play again. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's not a, all right, we won now. That's it. That's all I was after. That's not the goal. The goal is to play and compete and enjoy and.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the good thing about playing in the military, because you literally just play because you want to play. There are no leagues. There's no leagues. You have a one-off game every year that, probably depends a lot on who's away, who's busy, who's not. But it still means a lot, that to this day, that Paris game, that Marines Paris game, Trafalgar Cup 2008, is the most physical game I've ever been involved in.
Did you have to change your playing style when you came to Wimbledon out of the military?
I had no playing style, James. Had no playing style. That's why I liked it when it was really pissing down with rain and thick mud, because it was a lovely equaliser. I'd excel then. When all the skill factors are taken out and it just comes down to fitness, heart and aggression. Yeah, brilliant. When it starts getting warm and people can wang it 30 yards and then like that spin pass, it's all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I look a little bit pedestrian now.
I think that's testament to the fact that we got three of a pack in here rather than any backs. Backs listening are probably thinking, "Oh no, it's great to get it." We're all about, it's a forward mentality, isn't it?
That's it.
I'm not keen for this summer rugby that I keep hearing about. Absolutely not. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to enjoy my pick and goes and murder ball on a miserable, horrible Saturday on a mud bath.
See, now I'm a pure spectator. I quite like the idea of summer rugby.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I like it. I kick my shoes off, walk around in a pair of shorts and a singlet and no shoes. I like that. But no, as a back row in the way the game was played then, just you run, you hit, and now you're pretty much an extra centre, aren't you? Back row. There's 7 centres on a pitch now, and then you got the two back row, the two second row are back row now, and everyone's a different thing now. Hookers are back row.
Yeah.
But they're just the professionalism and the athleticism of them guys now. You look at them, big old lump, but if you take the shirt off, they're like what's his name, Caretaker Willie out of Simpson. It's just stacked up, and as soon as the shirt comes off. But they're athletes now. They're athletes.
I think we'll probably finish our first half there. Halftime announcements. Everybody that's listening, we like to try and promote grassroots rugby. If you've got a club and you've got something you want to promote, then please, by all means, get in touch with us on info@BeMoreRugby or on any of the social medias. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie.
Just want to promote our lovely
landlady,
bar staff. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come
down to Wimbledon Rugby Club.
Yeah, you look at me like that again. We're staying.
So yeah, halftime announcements. Jay, Legit Ladies, you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. So get yourself over to Legit Rugby's Instagram page. Have a look at what they're doing around the ladies sort of game. I think they've just recently changed their training day. So if you live in the Paul Hamworthy sort of area and you're looking to take up rugby, they're very much just taking people who have never played before and want to learn the game. So head over to their social media and get involved.
Fastest growing sport on the planet, women's rugby.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's been 3 years, yeah.
Want to get involved in it? Yeah, absolutely. I'd love for all clubs to have a better ability for, and we've talked about it when we had Shelley Hamblin on. Back when she was training down at Swans, there was what did she say? Like 4 or 5 of them would rock up and chuck a rugby ball about. Now they've got a great team. Or they did have a great team. Yeah, they did have a great team. Yeah.
When we was doing the when we was getting the kids back into it, return to rugby, when everyone trained together, I loved that.
Yeah,
I loved that because really you had the younger academy training with the older academy and the girls all together, mixing the teams up.
Yeah, that was
brilliant.
Great.
It was brilliant.
Yeah. No, they were good times actually. I think it's so weird because I look back at those times and I remember how I was feeling at the moment. I was like, "Fuck this! I just want to get back to tackling and like scrummaging and stuff like that." And I look back at that now. I love that ready to rugby stuff. Like in hindsight, like I actually really enjoyed it. I do love a bit of touch every now. I'm shit at it, but I do enjoy touch.
I detested touch.
So Legit Ladies, there you go. Get down to Legit if you can. Also, as I say, we've got Denny Champ on. He's the founder of the Start Your Day on Purpose movement, and get on his Instagram and give him some love because it is really inspirational and yeah, if you can get up in the morning and get on and start your day, you've achieved 99% of what you need to.
Exactly. You don't have to have a grand gesture. You do something small in the morning. Even an avalanche starts with the first snowdrop that moves, doesn't it? You just get up 10 minutes early, have 10 minutes to yourself, do a bit of yoga, stretch, have a cup of tea in peace. If you got before the kids get up, it doesn't matter what you do. Just do something for yourself to put your head in the right frame of mind to get your best out of yourself for the rest of the day. And you don't do it all the time. I'm guilty of it myself. I'm guilty of not following my own advice. Oh, sorry, I do follow my own advice, but in the wrong way. And I've got out of the habit of making my videos every morning. I still do the odd bits in the morning, but I just don't make the video. And I need to get my head right before I can help everybody else. I'm getting back to that stage now where I'm at a stage where I can start doing it again for everybody else. Because I got the joy I get out of receiving one message from someone. I only set out to help one person a day. That's all I wanted to do, just help one person a day. And that was a success for me. And I loved it when I got a message or something. Oh, Den, loved your video this morning. Thanks a lot. I got up and started my day on purpose. Or whatever.
I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago, and I can't remember who it was talking about, who was talking, but they were talking about the fact that getting up and going there is the most difficult bit. So if you just go to the gym, or if you just go to the rugby club for training, or if you just get up and go out the door with your running shoes on,
Yep.
that's the
Yeah,
most difficult bit. After
in a
that's
book,
easy.
isn't it? It's in a book. Charlie was telling me about this.
Mm.
Oh, I can't remember what it was called. Oh, I can't remember. I have to get back to you on that. But yeah, the first day, set your alarm for the time you're going to get up and then go back to sleep. The second day, get out of bed, then get back in bed and go to sleep. The third day, go downstairs. The fourth day, get dressed and go downstairs. The fifth day, go out to your car, then go back in. Then get there. The next time, drive to the gym, drive back. I wonder how many people drove to the gym and actually turned around and drove back. Probably not many. The next day, go and do a bit. And just build it up and build it up and build it up. Brilliant way of doing it, I think, if you've got the patience.
It's like these podcasts. I mean, we're here in an evening, I rock up, takes me an hour or so to set everything up. Yeah, it's in an evening. I could be at home having some tea and sitting in front of the telly or whatever. But once you get here and you get set up and you're chatting with people, and then you turn up, Jay's here on time.
Eventually.
And once you've done this is easy.
Yeah.
And if it can help somebody, help them, generally in their daily life, then that's fucking brilliant. But
Yeah.
it's getting here making the decision to get here is the difficult bit. Once you're here, it's just a breeze.
Yeah.
It just is.
It's just talking with mates, isn't it? That's all it
Yeah,
is.
100%. Yeah.
Podcast, just talking with mates.
Absolutely.
Best job in the world, running podcast.
So yeah, everybody, please follow Denny. Try and pester him to get some more singing in the shower videos out there, because
Pester me for the shower.
because honestly, even if it's for listening to his dulcet tones and his amazing repertoire of pop music, it's worth it. So second half, Denny, this is where we have a chat with you, our guest, about what rugby means to you. Try and impart some of the mindset and the support and the help. So we tend to start our second half off with a question: what does rugby mean to you?
What does rugby mean to me? It means a lot to me. It means a lot. And I think, especially coming from a military background, people say, do you miss it? Do you miss being in the military? And I've never actually missed being in the military. I thought I'd miss the guys, and every now and then I do miss the guys, but there's a lot of similarities between being in a rugby team and being in a unit. We're all idiots. We'll piss about. We'll do stupid things when we've had too much to drink. But we all have fun. And we're all in it together. And we all go out onto that pitch or that battlefield, whatever way you want to put it. And you're there for each other. You can stand next to Lee Corlin. I know he's going to be there for me. Or Charlie Morgan on the other side, I know he's going to be there for me. The same way as Bez was there for me. The same way as Steve Curley was there for me. We're all there for each other. And I think rugby has made that transition easy for me of coming out of the military. Because there's some guys that are completely institutionalized that come out and just can't deal with it. Just can't deal with it at all. There was a guy down at the camp, and I won't use his name, but he'd come from, like, I don't know, one of these weird little islands out in the Shetlands or somewhere around there anyway. Like 10 people on there. and he joined the Corps when he was like 16, and he'd done 30 odd years. Didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
And when it come to leave, he got himself a little flat down in the town. Just went to pieces.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to pay bills. Didn't know how to do a food shop. Didn't know how to do any of these things because he never had to. And in the end, he ended up moving back onto camp to be like a civvy driver. But you get other people. They're just completely institutionalized. I don't know how to do it. I was lucky. because I had Wimborne Rugby Club. help me make that transition into. Don't get me wrong, I was never the most straight laced military man anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was made a lot easier for me, and I think a lot. I think I owe more to rugby than I realise. In that sense,
Mm.
so yeah, it means a lot to me.
So what would you say that you've learnt most from rugby that you use most of day to day? What's helped you most?
What's wrong with me most? But you got to be there for each other, haven't you? You got to be there. You know, I used the analogy earlier. If Jay takes a crash ball as a single runner, I've got to get there to help him.
Which I often do.
I've got to get there to secure that ball. You know, so we keep it. So we keep going to keep the momentum, because you go on your own and you get stopped by 4 or 5, then they're going to get it, aren't they?
Mm.
If we just go and I go with him, I might give somebody else that split second to get there, and then somebody else gets a chance, and we move and we keep moving forward as a team. You can't. I don't care how good you are, how big and strong you are. You ain't going to run through 15 people on your own.
Mm.
You need each other. And I've realised as I've got older that you can't do everything on your own in any aspect of life. You need good people around you. And I'm luckier than most. I've got some amazing friends. Most of them in these 4 walls. But yeah, I've got and I know I can count on them. And that's in any aspect of life. In anything. If I rang Steve now, said, Steve, I need you to come down here. My car's broke down. He'd be here in 10 minutes. I know he would. Give me shit about it all day tomorrow for Ruby's dinner, but he'd be here. So yeah, that's what I take into normal everyday life. But it is normal everyday life, isn't it? We do it for fun.
Yeah, it is normal everyday life, and but it's like you said, it means so much. I mean, me and my other half, we run our company, and granted, there's only the 2 of us, but we bring together teams to do construction work, project management stuff. It's all about being there for each other, and I always find that all of the contractors we bring on board, I offer them everything I can give them to support them, not because I want them to make a ton of money and get off site,
Yeah.
but because I want for them to do their best. Because if they do their best, I've done my best.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
done our best.
Yeah.
The chippy's done their best. The roofer's done his best, and the client gets what's the best, and everybody benefits from it.
Yep. Yep. And if you do your best, you might not be brilliant at everything, but if you do your best, then you can sit back and say, right, I can hold my head up. I've got nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah, I like that. There's a lot of similar things between a rugby team and building sites, isn't there? So all these different bits come together, you know. Got the big tall scaffolders, all the second rows, isn't you? They can't do nothing without the short little fat ground workers who are the front row. I'm not saying all ground workers are short and fat or anything like that. So when one starts getting the knickers in a twist, ringing up. But you get my point. You know, you got the, I don't know, the handsome chippies on the wing or something like that. You know, they can't do anything without each other.
The special boy Sparkies at the back.
Yeah, yeah.
Years and years ago, I was on a site for another company, and we were working. It was a big house. Actually, it was it's been in a few movies. It was in the King's Speech and in the X-Men movies and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, wow.
And we were doing this big horrendous extent. Might cut that out. This beautiful extension on the end of this, 9th century bloody great house. And there was an issue with the ground workers. They were digging a culvert. This culvert went right there through the place, down through these massive, great arched gates. And the screeders were coming in to do the east wing at the same time. And they'd rocked up and they were bitching each other in sort of late in the day on the one day. And I was running the east wing site. And the guy that was running the extension had fucked off for a holiday or whatever. So I was left with a lot. And I had these ground workers that were adamant they were just going to plow on through this archway, and these screeders that were adamant that they had to get their equipment in. And I just thought to myself, and I don't know who told me, it was about micromanaging. You can't micromanage stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I'm going to be half an hour late tomorrow morning. And I got there half an hour late, and the groundwork crew had put boarding down, and they were lifting with the diggers. They were lifting their pumps for the
Yeah.
screeders, and they were all helping each other out, and it was
Yeah.
just like a jolly little sight. Do you know what I mean? And they just got on and helped each other because they needed to all succeed, and it just happened.
Time is money, isn't it?
Yeah, and it just were like a proper team.
Yeah.
But from the day before, one was more important than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sparky's would have done that. Just leave that little shitty bits of wire everywhere, and that's all they do. Make a mess. Again, Sparky's, before you get your knickers in a twist, it's a joke.
It's not.
No, it's not a joke.
So you've helped countless people through your Instagram, help them
Hope so.
mentally and emotionally, and no doubt physically as well. And you've been down the club. You do, a lot of fizz and that. You've been doing a lot of fizz down the club.
Yep.
For people that want to get into rugby, I mean, you said that it helped you transition from the military into civilian life, if you like.
Yeah.
What advice would you give people that wanted to get into rugby?
Don't be. What's the words I'm looking for here? Don't be overawed by it. Don't think to yourself, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm never going to be as big as him. I'm never going to be as strong as him. I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm a little bit nervous, and don't be. Because I think the good thing about rugby is nobody sets out to take the piss out of anybody. You get, and I'll use football as an example. You'll get someone who's got a lot of skills, like one of these Brazilian wingers, and he's spinning around on the ball 10 times, and then he'll just knock it with his foot. And the skill's amazing how they do it, but then he'll go past someone. You don't get that in rugby. Yeah, you might have somebody a bit faster, who just shows you the inside, and then they'll go on the outside. That's life. If you're not fast enough, then you won't be out there anyway. So don't be, what's the word I'm looking for? Intimidated by rugby. Don't beat yourself before you even try. Because because it is such a team sport, and we do rely on each other so much in rugby, that everybody brings you along. Everybody will help you. Andy Unwin said to me when I first training session, he said, "You're a big lad. Just accelerate into them. Don't slow down. Accelerate into the contact." Good bit of advice. So everyone wants to help everybody out. And that's what I'd say. Don't be intimidated by it.
I don't know of another sport that has the ability to accommodate everybody, and every shape and size and every skill level and every, like you look at football and you got to be fit, you got to be slim, you got to be fast, you got to be whatever. In rugby, it doesn't matter what shape or size you are.
Nope.
There's a place for you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you can't run 100 meters, but you're not going to get pushed back in a scrum, you're one of the most important people in the team.
So where do I fit in then?
We'll get where you've got to go soon.
All right.
We'll find your place eventually, mate. That's the thing. If we keep searching, we'll find it. Mate, you're a diamond in this team.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
For what you do off the pitch, just as much as what you do on it.
Appreciate it. Thank you. What would you say, like, in your time that you've obviously been at Wimbledon and stuff like that, what would you say is your best memory that you have from here at the club?
Oh. There's some good ones. It's good. Winning the league that year was a good. That was a good one. It was the last day up here. We played Bradford on Avon, and it was a lovely hot day, and we had to. I think Froome had lost the week before or something, so it was in our hands. So if we won, and Bradford were struggling that year, if we won, then we'd win the league, and we did. And afterwards, everyone was singing, and we had a hog roast and drinking from the leg, not just the boot, the leg. We had the leg out that day. That was a lovely memory. That was a really good memory. Oh, it's been so many good ones. a memory I'll never ever forget is when we had the silence for Carl Kavanagh.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget that. Yeah, lot of memories, good and bad for different reasons.
Mm.
Not so much bad ones, but good just in a different way. No, I liked yeah, I always liked the coaches back, the bus trips back from away games. I always
Yes.
like them,
Yeah.
especially if you've gone up somewhere and it's a fair old trek and you've had a good win and in good spirits on the way back. They're the ones I liked.
Mm.
They're the ones I liked.
What about when you got lost? When you've lost when you've been away and you're coming back?
Well, when you got like lost in the coach on the way back,
Not
Yeah,
lost
got
in the
lost.
coach, you got
Just lost.
you lost the game. You're in the coach on the way back.
you're feeling lost within yourself.
And I never suffered from sulking. I never suffered from sulking because I saw it, saw it for what it is. It's something I wanted to do. I'm running around playing a game of rugby that I love with my mates, and then I have a few beers after, and then we have a few beers on the coach, sing a few songs, piss about, naked run back from the fish chip shop, and then you're there, and then back into the club where, if some the seconds are at home or something, and they're still up here, and all the old boys are up here from their lunch or whatever, Yeah, they're the memories I liked. Singing here at 9 o'clock at night or something when Sue's waiting to close up and Tony Edwards is leading us in song, and yeah, they're the memories I like.
You mentioned earlier on, you said about football being a religion.
To some, to people,
To some, yeah. And I always think there's a lot of pressure and nothing against religion or anything like that, but a lot of pressure to be a certain way and there's stresses. But rugby to me is a community. It's a lifestyle. It's a family.
Yeah,
More so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because so much goes on for it. You got the kids that come up on a Sunday, and I think maybe it's because it's a lot more accessible because there's more kids straight away, more people straight away. So you've got more families, bigger squads. So there's more people up there. It's just a better atmosphere because you haven't got two dads fighting on the pitch because someone got offside phone call or for football or something like that. We're just a bit more civilized, don't we?
Yeah. Everybody that's in football, including my son, get over the rugby side.
Yeah.
Why not? What do you reckon, Jay?
Yeah, completely agree. There's only one sport in my mind. And darts. I enjoy darts.
Darts is the most exciting sport on TV.
Darts was fantastic.
Hands down, it's the most exciting sport.
Enjoy darts, big time.
Love the darts.
What an end to the game. Was it a week ago? When they're both on 2-9 darts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Went off. Darts to me, back in the day when it was a drinking game, that was good. Everything was a bit different back then. Everything was different. Rucking was different back then. Darts was different back then.
Ferociously.
That's it. That's my that's going to be my motto now for life.
Ferociously. Yeah. I'll find out his name in a minute. Someone will knows now. I can't remember.
No, that's cool.
Tim Wynn.
Oh, Tim Wynn.
Tim Wynn.
Yeah.
Got to rock ferociously. I'd expect nothing different from Wimbledon. Yeah.
Tim Wynn.
There you go.
But it took him 20 minutes to get to the ruck.
Nah.
That's the thing.
He's chairman of pool now, isn't he?
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not.
Yeah, he's good. Very good.
I think we'll probably wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Danny, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
and
I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Really enjoyed it. Really hoping that you're going to get back on your Instagram.
Yes.
Want to see more of you.
Yes.
I think just wrapping things up for me. The thing that's sort of stuck with me most of all is you talking about coming out of the military and finding Wimborne and it helping you in that transition because it was that ability to be where you can support and be supported.
Yeah. Well, I was already in there. I was already in that, so I was part of two teams. I was part of the Marines and I was part of Wimbledon.
Mm.
And it was my choice to leave one, which I think is always easier. You know, when you leave something on your own terms. That's why I carried on playing. You know, in 2012 New Year's Day, out here, pissing down rain on a vets New Year's Day game. Two people tackled each other, and they slid into my knee, and I sort of went over them, and that hurt. Got up, couldn't walk it off. I said, right, let me go and take that up, see if I can get a bit of support. Ice it for 10 minutes, and we'll get back on in a bit. Did that, come back on, and I was rubbish. I couldn't do anything. 4 days later, I went to Norway with the Marines. I ended up having an MRI a few weeks later, and I'd ripped the cruciate off the bone.
Oh,
I'd stretched the posterior so much that it wasn't doing anything, and I'd put a 3 mil crack in the femur.
oh my!
Just through people sliding in at me. You know, so I'd done a proper number on it. I don't know
Denny,
what
how do you survive with those sort of?
bit of ice.
I've had a bad neck since Saturday, and I
Yeah.
haven't stopped bitching and whinging about it.
Wondered why I kept falling over skiing in agony.
Christ, been running around with broken hips
Massive
and
Bergen on my back. Yeah.
Jesus.
But that was good because I've not had the operation. I just haven't got a cruciate in my right knee. And I thought, well, no, it feels all right. I've still got a bit of muscle around the leg that holds it together. It'd be all right. I'll just tape it up. So I've played a few games since then. Because I wanted to play and finish on my terms. I didn't want injury to stop me playing.
Yeah.
And I think leaving the military was on my terms. I didn't have to retire because I'd done my time. I wanted to go. It was time for a new challenge. And I think having Wimborne or any rugby club for anybody changing something, you've got that, like you said, that support network and a group of guys and a group of mates that you all share the same thing that you love to do on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon or whatever. So yeah, I think that makes it a lot easier.
Denny, just for me, my first, when I was an under 18, or I think I might have actually been an under 17, but we'll say I was an under 18, an 18 under 18, and we were in the White Hart, and they're clapping us from there.
Okay.
There you go.
They've heard this
the White
story.
Hart.
They've heard this story. They know what's coming.
I'm there, and we'd been on the pit. There'd been a first team game, and I was out injured. I wasn't playing Colts and that. And I'd been out with the guy. And there was a couple of us that were out with yourself, Chocky, and people like that. And we went to the White Hart, and we'd been out, and I must have been 8 pints of Guinness deep. And at the time, that was quite a lot of volume. And I'm stood there at the White Hart up against the bar, and Denny's been there, and he's chatting to me, and we were talking about bits and pieces and stuff, and I'm absolutely bollocks, and I'm rocking like that. And he just goes, excuse me, can he get some blackcurrant in his Guinness, please? Because Denny was like, I'll get you another drink, mate. And literally, I'm like, this is the Guinness has gone down that much. I literally couldn't drink another drop. Denny taught me the blackcurrant trick. Oh, that thing went down like a dream. Another 3 pints later, and it was chundered all over the White Hart toilet floor, and we went again the next weekend.
And I've never actually had blackcurrant in Guinness. I don't like it.
I'm with you.
I don't like
Absolutely.
it. I think
It's the worst.
it's heresy.
But yeah,
But it helped you out that night, didn't it?
Certainly did. Appreciate it then, and I think that's my. I did that in Edinburgh as well when I was struggling, and but now I get to like 11, 12 pints, and then I can go to the gin and tonic, which is something you also taught me as well. Is moving on to the gin, so something spot on. So I appreciate you teaching me how to drink.
There you go, kids. Elongating piss ups since 2006.
Well,
No, I've
thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
Thank you so much, Danny. As I say, anybody that's listening, if you're enjoying what we're doing, give us a like, follow us. That would be brilliant. Follow Denny on his Instagram. I tell you, it's inspirational, and yeah, what a guy to follow if you ever want to follow a guy. Jay, thank you so much for today.
No, sorry I was late.
No worries. Denny, thank you ever so much.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
And to everybody, till next time, ruck ferociously
Fuck ferocious.
and be more rugby. Thank you.